So I have a leather punch set here, which came in this plastic sort of container, and this sort of logic will apply to a lot of different types of tools like screwdrivers, drill bits, things which might come in a container like this and have no permanent receptacle. The problem with this is, over time the plastic wears out, these fall out and they end up in the bottom of your toolkit, and it's a pain. So I'm going to show you a little present that you can make for Daddy. So here we have, let's get this in the image, a holder which I used for my files. And it came, when I bought the files, as a complete set with all of this. This is the sort of idea we're going for. So what's really important is that in this case the files will not fall out. However, in our case, these things being so small will fall out. So we will have to make sure there is a flap. And you're going to see how this will work. But this is the idea. We're going to have sections for each one. We're going to slide in and out, and we're going to have a flap over the top. And then tie it in place, or maybe snap it in place. Either will work fine. Okay. So here we have the two parts, and I'm going to do it in two fabrics. I'm going to make the base fabric this dark green, to make the top fabric this lighter one. It's easier for you to see. So how much fabric do we need? Well, for the base, not much. We will need more for the top because it has to go over top of all of these. There is a lot of this green canvas, so I could actually use it for the whole thing, but then it would be very difficult to see. So if we just put that there, and we imagine that we've got to put a nice hem. If you've got piping, that's fine, you can pipe it. In this case I'm just going to do a double fold hem, so in which case I want along the lines of, I would say, 1 inch around every edge to make sure that I get a perfect fit. And then what I want is a very nice, generous flap across the top. You could do it square, you could do it rounded, whatever makes you happy. In this case, I think it would be nice, because I'm not using bias tape binding, it'll be easier to do a square top. So I'm going to be quite generous on this, and I'll just snip away. And then snip here as well. So that means that the end size will be roughly like that, and then it'll have a little lip on that, and then these will sit down in there. So that looks perfectly generous. The top will be a lot more interesting, and we're going to do it as we go, and you'll see why. So if you imagine you've got to sew this over top of all of those and leave room for each one, so it's got to have a shape. So that's better, easier to do as we go. So let's go and get some green thread on the machine, and we will finish this bottom part first. So a lot of you will have a very fancy thread store. I actually don't. I would love to, but over the years I've accumulated a lot of different colors, even some cheap thread, which works okay on some machines but not on others. That green is not very nice. This one is too green. And I have this one spool which seems I can never get rid of, and it's too dark. Or too light, I mean. It's really a forest green, but trying to find forest green thread in all of this is a bit of a challenge. I never seem to have all the perfect colors. So for mini projects, that one is good. Oh shit. It'll do, I guess. How does that compare to this? This could be in black, I suppose. I can live with that. So this is actually really cheap thread, but for this kind of a project, it's still polyester, so it's still strong. It's just fuzzy, but it works fine in the machines generally. So we are going to have to live with that. It's not the right color, but it will do for this kind of project. So let's set up the machine. Okay, off we go. See where we land. Yeah. Sewing's not the straightest, but the stitching is fine. Can live with that. Okie dokie, so off we go. Suppose I could be okay. Finger press to be okay, but it's not wanting to. I always cheat. You stitch it halfway with a chain stitch, and then stitch it, then pull it out. But should iron it, but we'll be lazy today. We'll just make a nice okay, off we go. Whoop. So sometimes happens at the beginning. You have to help it along a bit. Stiletto comes in very handy for that. That's where, of course, the Davis vertical feed wins hands down every time. However, each machine has its advantages. This one sews at super speed, and it's just amazing to sew. It's coping so well, I seriously want to turn it up even more, but that's probably not good for the machine. It's not designed for 2,000 stitches per minute. Okay. The other side. Oh, for fun, let's just do it briefly. Wow. Okay, now we're going to get to the exciting bit. So I would say, because we've got a funny corner here, it would be better to fold it over on itself. Should be mitered, really be better. But in this case, we'll just fold it twice and have it's quite a thick edge. which on this machine is absolutely no problem whatsoever. It copes just fine. So, reverse, forward, need the stiletto again. So one thing you have to remember is when you get to this end, you want it to line up first. If you let the stretching of the fabric happen as you sew, what will happen is you'll end up with sort of a dog leg at the end and not a very nice end to it. So I would suggest using a clip or something. I'll use a clip in this case. Just to hold that exactly where I want it, and then what I can do is worry about making sure all of this eases in perfectly so we end up with a perfect edge. So off we go. Yeah, it's fine. So you can see is it will naturally want to skid a bit, so you have to make sure you will want to make sure that you okay, that's pretty good. We will undoubtedly need to help this under the foot a bit. Perfect. Backward should be. Whoops, broke the needle. That happens. It's only a size 12 needle and going through 8 layers of denim, so not wildly surprising, but that's okay. I finished the stitching and it's all secure, so shove in a new needle. Just 1 second, I'll get a 16. We'll snip off the fuzz because that's just going to get in the way. Okay. All done. So now we can do a proper seam. I dropped that clip on the floor. Just need to find it. Okay, so off we go. Have you ever noticed when you drop things, they always go miles? So I can't find that clip now and I'm not going to be bothered. It's not important. So, off we go. Fold this twice. And then we'll clip it. And then we'll turn this over. We start in the right place. Okay. Okay. Okay, off we go. Okay, now we're getting up to this bit. Bump, so help it along a bit. Perfect, so I didn't break the needle that time. So that's part 1 done. Okay, it's got a lovely little square there. Need to trim off the threads. Basically, you could miter the corners. You could do as you wish. In this case, I don't care about mitered corners. That's the flat bit. So that's good. Now let's concentrate on part 2, which is what's going on top. Okay, so now comes the fun bit. So in this case, I'm quite fortunate. I've got a selvedge here. So I could use that to my advantage and just sew the selvedge down. Okay, but what's really important is that whatever you do, you need to understand the height, because if you do that, you won't see the tool. So you know that the height is going to have to be enough so that the tools stick out. Okay, now you could put loops over the top as well, but we shouldn't need that because there'll be enough So what's important is 3/4 of the tool will be hidden. So we know that from our point of view will be the height of what we're going to do. So in this case, easy done. Let's take a look. Grab my tape measure. We'll use one of these. So these are no centimeters, so you're going to get it in inches. So these fit into 3¼ inches high. So if we do the, let's go with 1½ inches down. Let's go with 1½ inches down. So we know that it's 3½ inches high, and then we need seam length. So 1 inch on the top, and we'll go with 1 inch, ½ inch on the bottom, because we'll just roll it under, it doesn't matter. So that's what we're going to do. So that will make 3, so we'll say 3½ plus an extra inch on top, 4½, 5 inches of fabric. That will be the height that we need. So let's start with that. So we need 5 inches. Here are my scissors. The tape measure. So this fabric should tear properly from the selvage. Let's go for 5 inches. Okay. And tear. Okay, so we won't need too much. What we will know is we need more than the width, because we have to do humps. So let's just go with that to start with. Perfect. Okay. So to start, what we have to do is sew under the edge, because that we want to look nice. Even though it's a selvage, we still want it to look nice. So we just need to pin it in place. We actually don't need to sew it yet. So we'll just pin it for now, just so it's nice and neat. And then we will, oops, got some stray threads from the tearing exercise, and snip those. Oops. So there we go. There's the edge. That's all we need. Finger pressing is good enough for now. So what we know is it's going to look something like this, but what we also want to do is fold under this. So this would warrant just a simple mitered corner. You don't have to even sew the mitered corner, because it's going to be covered. And just fold that up 1/2 centimeter or 1/2 inch, or whatever you choose as your seam allowance. And I'm just going to pin that in place for now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the lines in the fabric to keep me straight. So that's nice and easy, and then you could press this, but I'm just going to pin this for now. So because this is a gingham type fabric, we've got a check mark we can keep even the whole way across. So it makes it nice and easy to keep a perfect line for neatness. Obviously, if you didn't have that, you would have to do something else. Okay. And we're almost at the end. This is a very generous amount, perhaps almost verging on wasteful, but that's just the way of it. This is extra fabric from my previous project, so I'm good with that. Okay, so now we can just stitch this first part in place. So we're just going to stitch this edge. In fact, what we're going to do first is do the top hem, because stupid me should have said that. We need to do the top hem so it's neat and tidy. So I'm just going to put this in here for now, and what we need to do is roll this top hem, same as we did before. And I just realized I've got the zipper foot on, so we'll switch feet again back away from the zipper foot, just so we can finish this hem neatly. So one moment, we'll switch. Okay, the zigzag foot is back on. So now we need to do our hem. So the same as before, double fold, reverse. Now again, we can make sure this, using the gingham check, we can make sure our stitches are perfect. Because this is inside, any stretching that went on with the fabric can just be hidden inside without any problems whatsoever. Let's finish that, get my stiletto out. You could fix that nicer, but this really is not the most critical because it's going to be inside. Whoop. Off we go. So, where are my snips? The big ones. So there we have on hem. Can't really see the stitching, which is great. Okie dokie. Now, back to where we were at the beginning. We need to attach this. There's a sewn hem. So we need to attach this neatly in here. So we'll just put a pin. Make sure that edge is hidden down inside there for quality's sake. Don't like things to be sticking up. Okay, and we will pin that there, and we will pin this. Oop. Pin this perfectly in here so that it looks nice and neat. And I'm going to sew this direction. And I'll move the needle over, needle down, pin in. Oh, there are my thread snips. They fell on the floor. So what happened to them? Okay. So that is now in place. Now comes the fun bit. So, I'm going to zoom in here. What you absolutely do not want is this to be super tight. Okay? And what I mean by that is you've got to get these in and out easily, and in some ways better looser than tighter. In some ways. Okay? So if you imagine, I'll use the big one here. If this is really tight, you're like, ugh. So what you want to do is make sure when you're sewing that you give room so that this pulls in and out. Okay, let's make sure it's actually in the image. So you pull this in and in fact it's spinning around this way, it'd be easier to see. So you imagine if you're sewing this in place, you need to make sure this is loose. And then of course all the different sizes. So in some ways, this is where the foot will come in handy. You can just position your zipper foot where you want to sew, but you'll see it will automatically make it kind of tight. So you need to make sure you give a little bit of room on that. And when you get to the bottom, you can afford to keep that hem short at the bottom. So remember we said we didn't want it all the way in. So that means you can narrow it as you get to the bottom, and we'll be able to tuck this in like this. So what we're going to do is sew straight down, and then we will tuck that flat to keep them sticking out properly. And we will decide on the distance. Okie doke. So making sure we're sewing straight. I'm going to start from the fat one first. Okay, and you're going to end up with a bubble here, which is fine. That's what we want. And make sure that your hem lines up neatly. That's really important for detail. And must line up neatly here. Just push it up and it's fine. Okay, that one's done. So you could arguably just shift over for speed and sew it in this direction. So we can do that. However, you'll find your zippers on the wrong, your needles on the wrong side. So if you move it to the other side, then we can do the next one. And we'll push that in there, and then making sure we sew from the hem, so nice and neat on the bottom, with the bubble all the way down. So push it all the way down just to make sure your hem's perfectly lined. And then there's enough room to get that in. Then we'll reverse stitch, and then off we go forward. So you'll see these are, we could have been a little less generous with the fabric, but that's okay. We can fix that in a second. So then we'll spin this around to the other side. And we will put this in here. Now these are all the same length, so that makes it easy. If there were different length tools, it would get a little more interesting. But you can sew on an angle then, so that's really not a problem. The most important is to make sure that these tools fit in here perfectly. Right needle position, a little bit looser so there's space. Check your hem, make sure it's going right to the bottom. And then we'll fix the bubble in the end. So that's good. Okay, we need to just shift this fabric up slightly using my stiletto. It crept a bit, so I don't want an ugly hem there. So we'll roll this up just a slight tidgy bit. That's nice and straight. Okay, good, that's fine. Reverse stitch, perfect. Right needle over, and then we'll switch around the other way. Get the idea. So on this side you can see it's nice and tidy. I'll just cut the thread jumps here. Okay. Thread jump there. Here I need to tidy up. Okay, all the thread jumps and stray threads are gone now. And we actually have all of the tools in this. So the one exception is we have not sewn the bottom. So we do need to do that. Now because this thread, the way it was designed, it always broke perfectly over as I was moving it and starting to sew, so I don't have as many thread jumps on the front to sew as you might otherwise have, but there are some here. So the threads jump. So now what I can do is get rid of this and decide where I want, how high I want these up. So I'm thinking probably there. Looks kind of fun. So if I fold the hem and bunch your little pleat right about there, how does that look? Yeah, I can go with that. So if I just mark this as where I want that, then I can match all the other ones the same. So let's just pull out all the tools, since they're going to be in the way shortly. You could do this for pencils as well, of course. It doesn't really matter what you're doing it with. Oops, missed one. Okay, so there we are. So now we just need to do a little pleat for each one. So let's just check where we want this. Definitely there. So you could be more scientific about this, but in this case I am not bothered. Okay. For me, all I'm going to do is switch the foot over again. So, this is a bit more there. I think I will sew in this direction because then there's a mark. This is level with that hole. So I could put some tape, but that's going to work fine for me. So if I sew from here, level with that hole, it's going to work perfectly. So what you'll see is at the beginning there isn't much of a hump to worry about because in this case the leather cutter isn't so big, so there's not much of a hump. So the easing that needs to be done is far less than when we get to the larger size. That's okay, that's part of the fun. So I'll get this out. So we will a little reverse stitch. Okay, and off we go forward. So we need to ease this in a bit. And then this one I need to be eased in a little more. This one even more. And you can ease as long as it looks decent, but eventually you're going to have to start doing little pleats and stuff. Right here it's starting to get pretty hideous. So I'd say now we're probably getting into pleat phase. So I will do a pleat here. Better. Okay. Therefore this means pleat here. That means pleat here. And last but not least, here we are with this. This is the last one where we'll need a very large pleat. Let's put the needle down and tidy this up. Perfect. So stitch in now. We need to hem the bottom for good measure. We could have actually hemmed it like we did the first, this bit up here, but in this case I opted to just line it up at the bottom. So we'll just stitch it securely in place. And you will have the same thing where you've got to ease it in a bit. Make sure it's lying flat. Now we're getting into pleat land here. So you can help the machine do its job. Okay. Now this one I don't like, so we need to shove that under a bit. Perfect. So it's lying more flat, otherwise it's going to look gross. Don't do sloppy edges. Even it is for Daddy's tools, or in this case, mine. But it would bug me, if it's not good enough. Here we want to shove that up a bit. Just going to grab my Kenmore sharp awl because it's sharper, so it makes this kind of thing a little easier. Okay, that's good. The other one is actually a wood awl, so it's not quite as good for certain things, like when you have to really push the fabric around and you need a sharp edge. Okay, perfect. Okay. So, all sewn, just snip some threads, looks tidy, looks good. Now we just have this edge. So this is where you can do your artistic bit. You could add something else, you could put a tape measure in here, you have a little bit of extra space. You could alternatively shorten this if you wished. In this case, I'm just going to add an extra bit in case you want to shove something else in there. So I'm going to make a little bit of a hump, same as we've been doing all along. Let's do it this way so it stays in place. Okay. Let's do a little bit of a hump and then snip it off. I can go with that. And that includes just a rolled over seam allowance, nothing exciting. Not even half an inch, 5/8 I would say. So we'll just fold this under. thread's in the way here. So just fold that under this, and we will stitch along the edge there. Now this time it's quite easy, because when we get to the bottom we just turn it around and we have to put in a lovely big pleat, or fold or gather, whatever you want to call it, but in this case it's going to be a pleat. So I need my pokey one again, so I can't push the fabric otherwise very well. So I think in this case we'll do it like this. And we want it pushed down and evened up, and then we've got a nice hem there. Perfect. Whoops. And that joins up perfectly with the previous stitching, so you wouldn't even know. Okay. Little snippage. Okay, so that's done, with one exception. We now need to figure out how we're going to finish it so it rolls up tidily, like that. So I would say some nice straps would be good. Okay, I've decided to do them in this fabric just because it's nice fabric. So what we will do is, since we want the straps to be double turned like that, and we'll make them strong, what we'll do is make it 1/2 inch, 1 inch with a 1/2 inch finish. That'll do. So let's go with that. I'll go slightly more generous than that. Go for 1 1/2. My preference would be to meet it in the middle and double fold it, which would make it quite skinny. So I think we'll just live with it and fold it like this and make sure we do a good edge on it, a good small stitch to secure it in. Okay, so we're just going to top stitch that down and fold it. So we tighten up the tension. What we might do is a nice small zigzag. Maybe in fact even better than that, we'll do 20 stitches per inch, and we'll go on to multi-point plus BQ5, but we don't need it that big, so we want 5, we'll do BQ3. And that should tidy these edges fine. So let's do that and see how we get on with that. Okay, reverse. Okay, I want to decrease that even more. Okay, good, that's working fine. So I've attached the strap there, and we're just going to load this up, make sure everything goes in there perfectly. Show you the next one down. And last but not least, we go all loaded up. Flip that over, roll that way. Nothing will fall out that way. Right. Strap around, and just a little bow. One set of, not the best strap I've ever made, but it was just for quick show. I'll tidy those ends a bit. You get the idea. Lovely little package. I would definitely make a better strap, but for me, I don't care. But for Daddy, yes, you should. Quality is always important. So there you are, one set of leather punches. Okie dokie. So I hope you found that interesting. There you are. Bye for now.